You know, nothing is guaranteed in life, and life changes in a moment. So, I was going to talk about who is the deceiver. And the 1 minute before I was to go live, uh, I got a message, and one of my dear friends' husband just transitioned. And in that experience of death, seeing the physicalness leave, it is such a clearing process. She's completely aware that he is still with her in every way. He's just not being physically seen. And that, in a sense, is works with the conversation about deceiving, because so much of what is real, so much of what we don't know that we don't know, so much of what's in this space, in the gap, in the presence, our eyes have stopped being able to see, or have never trained to see, or have been deceiving ourselves. There are stories of children that will see auras. They say, "Oh, look at the red around daddy when he gets angry," and the mother goes, "There's no red around dad," right? You've heard that expression too, seeing red, seeing rage. Rage is red, right? Well, children have been known to identify with things like that, or they'll say, "Oh, there's the boogeyman under the bed," or whichever, and we've just said, "No, no, 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 that's not real. No, 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 that's not real." And so if we look at death and life and how we experience that is just an experience, and whether we've deceived ourselves into what we think reality is, what we think is going to happen, you're creating a situation for yourself, right? It's like my dear friend, they start every morning with knowing that today is the day, and this is the day they've been given, and they're very spiritually awake and aware, even though they both do very different practices. And I always said, if I only came to PEI um, to help open and allow her to experience so much more, and what the transformation has been in her life over this time, then that is the greatest gift, to be used just to help one person. And feeling, and releasing is what all of us are doing in our own ways, whether it is we're grieving what we thought was our normal, or we're angry that our normal has gone away. And it's just like my girlfriend, is that she is in complete love and faith and trust the process, and recognize that he is still there, just in a different form. And she trusts completely the experience. And we could still laugh about some of the, and find some of the joy that we were just talking, I think was like 10 days ago, about, that idea of when you get attached to the little things, and how important are the little things when you realize that in one moment it can all be gone. And as many of us here now are seeing the deception of the beliefs that we have been taught being eroded, we're seeing it with new eyes, we're hearing it with different ears. It can be just like a big death. It's like the world is dying to its old way of being. And yet many people have ideas of where that's going. And unless they happen to be the all-knowing, all-creator, that might be one person's objective. It might be a group of people's objectives. It might be, a transmission. We all have a sense. We all have our guidance. We all have this experience. And in this experience we all have, each of us is a part. That's the unity. That's the earth. That's the planet. Because the planet is our body. Our body is like that little piece of the planet. And so I, keep putting out that vision that everything's happening the way it needs to happen in order for the whole planet to move from that fear consciousness to fully awakened, that recognizing, like my girlfriend, that even though her husband has physically passed, that he is still there very much. She can still see him and feel him and hear him, and it's just a different experience. And so awakening or ascending is this, as I said to my dad, two sides to the coin. And sometimes people only see the one side of the coin. They only see the heads. They only see the tails. But there's a head and a tail on each coin. And each are needed to have that whole coin. Most movies or books or stories that you read, there's different characters, different roles that make it interesting. And yeah, we like to congregate with people that think the same way, but free speech and freedom is being able to hear another person, to be able to respect that that's their perception, even though you have a different experience. When I'm pointing a finger, right? When I'm pointing a finger, I know these three fingers are pointing back at me. And wow, I was having this conversation with someone yesterday as I waiting for the tow truck, and was saying how subtle I have to be, and she was saying the same thing, of noticing when you get caught up in the wave of judgment, when you get caught up in the fact that you're right. Because sometimes we need to experience that sense to appreciate the others. It's a fine balance, and it's a journey. And heck, I've been way over in judgment, on one side of my life on I remember being so ingrained in the world of money and materialism that anybody that did anything alternative was artsy fartsy, and what the heck did they know? They're living in a dreamland. So I get it when people say, oh my gosh, what are these people thinking? And then I've been on the other side where I completely lived alternative experience, where everything that was so-called normal, I was in that, Harry Potter world, and the rest of the world were muggles. And the muggle world was all wrong. And then coming back into balance for me to bring those two worlds and start to realize, you know what, this is just my perception. And everybody has a perception of their experience. And who am I to judge another? Judge and you shall be judged. That's a difficult one. And for the most part, it was my cognitive dissonance, my ability to refuse or be afraid or just think, oh, that's just too ludicrous. Like it was just too much for me to handle at that moment to consider. I remember clearly a time where a girlfriend of mine told me to get out of the house, that my husband, she goes, I've seen that anger. He could kill you. And I knew totally on one level, right? One part of me, in the sense, knew exactly what she was doing, that, what she was saying was true. But another part of me felt like I was to be there, that he was teaching me how to overcome my fear and it wouldn't happen. And I'm still here. And so there was a lot of emotional and mental stuff to go through, but he was my best teacher in so many ways, because I was able to see things and experience things that I I never would have unless I had so-called married and said, I'm going to make the best of it. So each of us has our own journey and each of us has our own path, and what happens in the next minute, let alone the next hour or the next month or the next year, is the story I'm living into. And I'm living into that the world is healing, the world is transforming. And I've seen it within myself, and I believe it for every single individual. I've seen it with those that are close to me and that I've worked with. And I've had to let go of a lot of people and respect that they too are on their path. And then we're just going different ways at this moment, but I still totally and completely love them. It's always about me and my perception. So I'm sending out love, I'm sending out joy, and I'm sending out unity. And I'm holding that vibe as best as I can, that each person can trust and believe that what they're feeling guided to do is always going to be the best for them. And in this respect and love for each other, and trust that everybody is playing the role they need to play for the whole world to transform, for the whole island, for the whole Canada, for the whole North, for the whole world. That's my vision, the whole world. The whole body, from the top of my head to the tip of my toes, every part of everybody is transforming, and we're becoming awake and aware that death, or what we can't see, or what we're too afraid to look at, or we can't even imagine how it could work, or how that person that seems to be hurting us is working in our favor from another person's perspective, right? That we can trust this inner guidance, this inner knowing that God, Allah, higher power, consciousness, unified field, whatever you want to call it, that there is a greater chi, a greater plan going on here. And each of us is just as important as each other, because we are the source consciousness experience. We are the rays of the sun, so to speak. If you want to use that example, rays shooting out. And each of us is that, and together as we have our experiences, we give other people experiences, and we go with the flow. And we stand for what we stand for, and we take action where we need to take action for. And when we can do action in love, when we can be like Martin Luther King, or going, I have a dream, and we can do it peacefully and lovingly. That's all that's happening. The game is over. The transformation is done. Well, actually, as I said to someone, we're in like the third quarter of the game, and we're winning. Love is winning like 54-0. But the fourth quarter still has to occur. So you got to go, whether it's you got to go play the last 15 minutes. And in the last 15 minutes, the other team is going to try really hard to make some miraculous thing happen, to create a cataclysmic shift, because they're so far behind. But if you can just stay in that calm and peace and love, and just trust and play it smart, step out of bounds when you need to step out of bounds, you know what I mean? Like, you just take the soft, easy, keep it on the ground, whatever the play is, you just win the game. And that's where I believe living, breathing men and women are. It's 54-0, and we're just going through the last quarter of this transformation. And if you can stay calm and peace and keep your eyes, ears, heart focused on, it's a whole new world, and it's your best whole new world coming, and it's beyond anything you've ever imagined, anything. It just keeps getting deeper and more expansive all the time, like the ocean, or going up into outer space, however you want to call it. It keeps expanding. That's where you're going. So enjoy as much as you can the process, and honor your feelings. Honor the grief, honor the sadness, honor the anger, because breakdown does lead to breakthrough, but the breakdown can seem overwhelming at times. And yet there will be a peace when you get through it. Standing for Love for 40 Days is available for free for those who want to listen to a vibe for 20 minutes every day, to open your heart and find that calm. And if you really want to work on trusting your intuition, discovering your superpower in 10 days, that's available in a Kindle or a paperback on Amazon. Okay. And if you want a personal one-on-one, then reach out and I'll help you break through what you feel is a block or a wall, what you is there. And if you've got a deeper chronic health issue and you want to work on a health transformation, yep, we have that. I've got that program all lined up for you too. So I'm here being the lighthouse for those that need to see the light in my direction, because there's many, many other lighthouses all over the planet. We're all doing our part. Lots of love.